In that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride. And thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain. I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of the Lord. The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. For they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. That is Zephaniah 3:11 through 13. This is Resisting Balaam, a podcast where we seek to encourage the saints to stand firm with him on his word, against all of the accusations made by the world, the flesh, and the devil, as we engage the culture of death that demands the sacrifice of our children. I am Callie, and I want to thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like and share this content, add some comments, and if you would like to help us continue to create content like this and be able to distribute it, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/resisting Balaam. Okay, today I just want to do a quick video and discuss three separate cases that have happened over the past 3 years in Texas. And the reason why I want to discuss this is mainly because of the last one that's currently going on. But I want to show the complete inconsistency of the application of justice when it comes to the homicide codes, and why that is the linchpin, why that is going to be the part that causes the pro-life movement to expose themselves as being anti-just. So the three cases I want to talk about real quickly. The first one happened 2 years ago. There was this man, and he choked out his wife, who was pregnant. Beat her up real good. And during the proceedings, he was charged with assault, domestic violence, a couple of other things, and he was found guilty of that and received 36 years for that part of the crime. But the unborn child died as a result of choking her out and him assaulting her. And he ended up being convicted of that homicide and received the punishment of life without parole. So this unborn child died at his hands, and he was tried and convicted of that homicide and ended up being punished with life without parole. Now, last year, there was a woman, and she had done a self-managed abortion, had some issues with excessive bleeding and stuff, and went to the hospital, and a nurse ended up calling the police because she suspected that she had done a self-managed abortion. And the sheriff ended up arresting her and charging her with homicide, and she was released, rightfully so, according to the law. The prosecutor brought out the penal code for homicide and the exceptions in 19.6, which clearly state that it is not illegal, that it is not criminal homicide if the death of the unborn child is caused by the mother of that preborn child. So because she was the mother of that human that she killed, she could not even be charged. They had to drop the charges. There was no trial. There was nothing, because a woman can kill her own preborn child for any reason that she wants to, by any method that she wants to, and it's not a crime. So that's the second case. Now the third case is currently going on right now. There is a wrongful death suit against 3 women. This man brought up a lawsuit against them for a wrongful death, and it's being adjudicated because these 3 women helped his ex-wife get pills for an abortion. And they're using their text messages, screenshots from the text messages, to show how they conspired together with the ex-wife, ordered the pills, and then the third lady was the one that ended up getting them and gave them to the woman who ended up taking them, killing their child, and this brought about their divorce. But there are 3 women being charged for the death of this child, for conspiring together to kill this child, for aiding her in finding, procuring, possessing, and taking abortion pills that ended up killing this child. And rightfully so. They should be tried, charged, and depending on the evidence that's brought forth and what happens in the trial, convicted of this crime. But it's only the 3 women that conspired with the mother that are being looked at in this case. The mother herself has no charges against her, because it is not illegal for a mother to kill her own preborn child. Like I said, she can do it by any method that she wants to, by any means that she wants to. So while it is illegal for these 3 women to conspire with her to cause the death of this child, it is not illegal for her. So they can't bring charges against her, but instead they brought charges rightfully against these 3 other women that helped her to kill that child. These 3 cases, they just show the inconsistency of the pro-life movement that seeks only to burden a woman's access to abortion and not consider abortion itself as criminal homicide. So when we talk about equal justice, what we are saying is that the current homicide codes should apply to all forms of criminal homicide, including abortion, and that they should apply to all principal actors, all co-conspirators, and all accomplices. Without that, there is no justice. And what we're asking for is that each individual case of criminal homicide be adjudicated on the merits and evidence of that individual case. So we hear all of the time that equal justice bills are targeting women, that we want to electrocute women, that we're trying to convict all women that have ever killed their children. And that we want no trial, we want no due process, and that's the opposite of what we want. We want due process. We want every single case to be judged on the merits and evidence of that individual case. What the pro-life movement is doing is targeting women that kill their own preborn children. They are the ones targeting them. They are the ones that are wholesale removing an entire demographic from the homicide code. What we are asking for is equal justice, for due process, for a chance for all of these women to present their evidence. And if there is legitimate coercion, that's an affirmative defense that will come out as part of their evidence. If they're being sex trafficked, if it's, a 12-year-old girl that is being raped by a relative and then forced to kill her child, that individual case will be judged on the individual evidence of that case. Just as every instance ought to be judged on the merits of that individual case. But what we have right here in those three cases that I showed you is an inconsistency on whether or not we believe that those preborn children are actually children. So the laws in Texas for over 20 years have been applied to preborn children as victims. So we have a 20-year history showing that preborn children can be considered victims of violent crimes, and we have judged men and women and charged them with crimes against these preborn children. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman in Texas, if a preborn child dies, you can be charged with homicide. Just like in the case of the man that choked out his wife and the child dies. If a woman drunk driving hits a pregnant woman and the child dies, she can be charged with criminal homicide. The only person that is removed from the judicial process is the mother that kills her own preborn child. And their argument goes something like this: society has inundated her with lies. They have taught her that that's just a clump of selves, that she's a victim in the whole entire abortion industry. She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know that that is a child and cannot be held accountable for that child's death. And this is how inconsistent that line of thought is. That man has been indoctrinated by the same societal beliefs. It's a clump of cells. It's not really a human. He doesn't know what he's doing. But yet he was rightfully convicted of homicide for that preborn child. A woman that hits another woman with her car that's pregnant and that child dies would rightly be convicted of homicide, even though she has the same societal indoctrination clump of cells, not a human. She has just as much been lied to as the mother. Those 3 women that conspired to kill that lady's preborn child, and she's not part of the litigation, all 4 of those women have the same indoctrination, just a clump of cells. They're all just as much victims of the abortion industry. They're all just as much been taught and indoctrinated that that is not a human, that they don't know what they're doing. But yet in that case, 3 of them can be brought to court, which is what's happening right now. But 1 of them completely removed from the judicial process solely because she is the mother of the dead child that they all conspired to kill. That doesn't show you how inconsistent our thoughts are about justice, specifically when it comes to women that kill their own preborn children. The example that I use all the time is if my wife was 12 weeks pregnant and I had a mistress who was 12 weeks pregnant, and my wife orders abortion pills online, crushes them up, she takes some, she slips some to my mistress, and both children die. She could be charged with the death of my mistress's child, but not charged with her own. Did she not have the same indoctrination? It's a clump of cells, don't know what I'm doing, victim of the abortion industry. On both, or just on herself? There's this cognitive dissonance because our religious leaders, pro-life leaders, are unwilling to stand for justice because they are afraid that people cannot stand truth. They are afraid that their message of justice is unpalatable to people, which is true. It is unpalatable. They're afraid of losing supporters, funding, whatever the case may be, that they're willing to compromise, lie to themselves, and perpetrate and keep going this lie, this inconsistent lie that mothers themselves are the only demographic that should be removed from the judicial system. That position is a position of hatred towards women. It is a position of hatred towards justice, and it is inconsistent. We need to call them out. We need to expose their lies, their inconsistency. We need to stand on justice. So thank you. I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, join the resistance and wield the sword of truth. Our Lord has left us here to navigate through this world as priests in the kingdom of God. Apply the mind of Christ and battle against the culture that hates God and loves death.